if I had a chance to speak at one of these, what would I share? And I thought, for for me, the Morley is really the basis for anything worthwhile in my life. It comes from Morley, and I'm sure that you're all attending here. They're all Morley students, right? We listen to Morley, um, and that's important to learn to listen. And I find that a good listener makes the Morley that much better for the one who's sharing. So when there are souls who are listening to Baba's Morley, then the one who is reading, sharing these words, these divine this divine song, which really Morley is a flute, right? Traditionally, when you say Morley to somebody from India, they'll go, "Oh, a flute." So, are we going to hear a flute? Do you every morning you go listen to a flute? What is going on? And so, well, come and you'll see. And you bring. Um, but the point is that to be a good listener or a good student is very serviceable. We come to class and we hear one person who's qualified and experienced teacher, and we listen. Sometimes you think, oh, I could teach too, and I could too, and or whatever. We get ambitious, after a few years, or we hear other people teach, and we learn. We listen to what they have to say, and it inspires us. And yet, the one who's a good student is the real teacher. When Mama, who is the first administrative head of the institution of the whole divine family, the whole university, everything. Baba could see this soul was so qualified. He said, she's in charge of everything. And he would defer to her. If just ask Mama, you know, you know. So, and Mama, when she would be speaking, she would have her own Morley, right? She played the flute of knowledge. She heard this knowledge coming from Shiv Baba, from the divine through Brahma Baba. She heard it, and she could think about it and make connections and solutions for the whole family, right? How to handle situations, how to handle your own internal world, the external world. So Mama would be speaking, and Baba would come and listen. But as soon as she got sense that Baba was there, she would go quiet. And then Baba would come in. Say, go ahead, continue. I want to hear, this is great. You're doing it. Sorry. No. The ocean of knowledge comes now. I'm ready to listen. I'm gonna listen to what the ocean is gonna come through you. So I'm cool. So Mama had that deep respect and love for Morley. And so when Daddy Junkie, most of us have at least heard of Daddy Junkie. Um, she was very special soul, but she in the beginning she was behind the scenes. She was in the ranks. She was a nurse for the extended community, the divine family, and she took care of mothers, particularly. She had been a mother when she came into knowledge, and she had some obstacles and difficult life. But when she surrendered into the spiritual life fully, very quickly, she realized, wow, I want to catch up with you all. And Baba said, just study Morley a couple times a day, many times a day, actually, many times. Um, so to be a listener is to improve the quality of the class. Like, so if you say, "Oh, this one doesn't read the Morley," I like to hear this one over this one. It happens. It does happen. This one reads the Morley very nice. Oh, I like it when this sister reads the Morley. Well, don't have that thought. Just enjoy it, and you're creating a good atmosphere for that soul too, and there's receiving the benefit. So that was something I was thinking about when this topic came up. And the dancer in the audience analogy, Brahma Baba would say, when I have good students in front, I get inspired to I I make connections that I didn't re and I can say things that I wouldn't ordinarily say. And I go, wow. Even Dadi Janki, when she would give talks, she got to the point where she'd say, I didn't know I was going to say that. That was amazing. And I think these these the basis of our whole study is these classes, these Morleys that Shiv Baba came and spoke, and Baba was able to work with. You see, on the path of devotion, path of religion, they have a strong regard for Krishna coming and speaking to Arjuna, and there's a dialogue between the two. Arjuna is asking, come on, you have all the answers. Tell me. And he would just give little bits and lesson, but step by step. And Arjuna would struggle with it and say, hey, come on. And Krishna would say, it's like this. So that dialogue was in actuality happening in the life of Brahma Baba. He was listening too. He was listening to the knowledge coming through and also doing the dance of knowledge himself. And Shiv Baba would often say to Brahma Baba, he's quite qualified. He can speak on these things too. So it's such having two souls in one body, as we say. It's an interesting process. Brahma Baba had to empty out himself and just let Shiv Baba speak what needed to be said. Now he wasn't ignorant. He knew what the issues or all go through as human souls, you know, and we're now in the end of our cycle of time and we're regaining our power by being in the roots of this tree. The tree is expanded beyond, it's just grown huge, billions of souls. And here are these old souls who've been through time who are just waiting patiently. And Baba in the Murli gives us patience. I was thinking about this. And if there are any questions, think about it. If you can even interject as an MC, if you'd like me to touch on that topic. I was also seeing how the four subjects are in each Murli. We know that, right? There's general knowledge, and it fills out our understanding of the religion we had been doing. And it fills in, oh, I see why I was doing that. What's the significance of water, for example? Does the water do the purification, or is it symbolic of something, a divine flow, some divine nectar coming, or some purification from knowledge? So there are the four subjects of knowledge and the practice of meditation. Sometimes when I meet people who meditate, I say, do you like to meditate? They go, oh, yeah, I meditate. I say, well, they'll either say, I like group meditation, but I don't like meditation. I don't do it alone. I just like to go to group meditations. And other devotees and religious people will say, I don't like group meditation. I just want to sit and silence myself. I prefer. And to either one, I'll say, you need to do both. And so Brahma Kumari's Baba's system is to have us be in the divine family and practice, but also on our own practice and to do both. Because listening to Murli is an art. Speaking Baba's knowledge is an art. It's different. It develops different quality in you. And you're using different parts of your soul. The Murli is a purifying thing. This knowledge purifies us. So listening is purifying your ears and your cognitive ability, and speaking is your projecting your initiative, your rationalization, your thinking, that's being purified. And then study of Murli, that's personal, where you spend time in the day to pick up on Murli. Dadi Gulzar used to say, she said once, like, okay, if you're having some issues, some problems, and you kind of just pick up a Murli any Morley. Just pick it up and open the page, and there's your answer right there. So it's also listening Morley, speaking Morley, study, and also approaching it like a an oracle, like the oracle at Delphi. They had a temple in ancient Greece, right? For many decades. It was a place where people just went to get their questions answered. Kings, all kinds of people would go there. And the oracle spoke, it just answered people's, questions. So this is the ultimate fortune telling, the ultimate oracle from Baba's Morley. Sometimes one brother at the meditation center in San Francisco, he was hosting the Tuesday open house at the center. People would come just to see what the place is like, and we would sit and meditate. And that was 10, 5 people, whoever came Tuesday nights. And he said there would be a topic, and then if we didn't get anywhere, if something didn't, there was no good dialogue. He would just take out his Morley notes, and he would look around and he'd go, okay, here's a line. And he used to say, check this out. And I heard this today. And he would read it out. And immediately everyone would go, oh, something new to think about. Wow, that's cool. They would have an opinion about it. They would react to it. And that would spark a discussion, which was based on what Baba had said, right, in Morley. So here we are, new people for the first time, but now they've come for a topic for an open house and they're discussing Morley. That's a great karma for those souls. They don't maybe know that it's coming from the mind of God, at the God, the Father of souls. In the Morley today, Baba said, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shankar are not Shiv Baba. And for us, it's kind of maybe irrelevant at first. We just we're happy about incorporeal God, and we learn as we go about Brahma Baba's unique relationship with humanity and with his own core friends and students and how he loved us. So those are both very special. But Brahma Baba had two roles, even when he was in the body. He had his role of just making toli, writing letters, loving people, giving them power, giving them caution, whatever. He lived his life. But at the same time, he knew there was the subtle, perfect form of Brahma there in the subtle region. And so he would compare himself to that, and go, oh, how close have I reached to my karma teat, right? My karma free stage. So Brahma reflected a lot. So that's the first level. Even on our original pictures in Brahma Kumaris, we have the physical world, right? Here is a picture called the three worlds: the physical world, the subtle world above that, and then the soul world, just light, just silence and peace beyond the physical universe, but still a place, a real place. So anyway, in the subtle region, they have three lines. There's a light white color line, and there's a golden above that, which is Vishnu, which is kind of after you go to the subtle regions above Brahma's region of knowledge, right? Is a subtler region, another part of the subtle region where our own perfection exists in the form of Vishnu, the deities, the feeling of being pure, being liberated, living in a world of complete safety, harmony, the world in its pristine state. So that subtle region, that memory is also in the subtle region, right? It's a feeling as we go towards the home. We go to Brahma Puri, then Vishnu Puri, right? And then above Vishnu Puri is Shankar Puri, where everything is being stripped away, melted away. All your past sins, all your confusion, all your heaviness, right? It's just melted away. And they show Shankar just sitting bodiless in deep meditation, detached from his body. It's a that's an archetype. That's a metaphor, a symbol for the soul when they stop battling. They just love the silence. They go, why do I wake up? Not because I have to, but I like it. I wake up at 2 automatically. I don't need to settle. I just, you know, oh man. And at that time, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., whatever Brother Suri often says, at that time, whatever's lingering issues, whatever is bothering you, or whatever you need to know, you get it. And you wake up like, you can it gives you a long time to reflect on your life when you get up 2 and 3 a.m., right? And you're not doing, achieving. You're doing something very important. It's called reflection. And then that carries into your day in a subtle way. And sometimes people will say, who are you? What are you doing? I've been watching something different about you. Then you know that's Baba's effect on you. And some souls have approached me when I lived for an extended period in India, for example. I just went because I had been away for a few years because of political reasons and I couldn't travel. So when the laws changed and I could go to India, I thought Madhuban is nice, but let me stay longer. So I went to a place and stayed longer. And I met people who were seekers because it was a spiritual town with pilgrims. And so certain souls would say, oh, you're doing something different. What is it? And that it's only because of our disciplines and our lifestyle that makes it happen. They go, your energy is different, right? And that's Baba's energy. So this whole thing about Brahma, Vishnu, and Shankar, that's just the subtle regions, right? There's those 3 levels. And above that is the soul world. That anybody understands that. I mean, people have inklings of it in Buddhism and Hinduism. They say a very lovely soul, for example, a friend of my family's, and I brought her to Brahma Kumaris. I brought her husband, her kid. They all have come, but they approach it like religion, and can you give us blessings? Can they come to our home and bless our home? Like that. Anyway, there was a funeral for her husband, and I was giving knowledge. I went by later and talked a little bit, and she was like, "This life is too painful. I don't like the idea of reincarnation." I said, I hope that soul has liberation now. She feels that, oh, my husband is gone. He's liberated. And I said, yeah, but he's got all these talents and skills he can use, and the soul goes on. But for this soul, she was, oh, this is a world of suffering. And so we're really, Baba's showing us something that it's not easy for souls to take. Just the fact that you're eternal. It's comforting for us. Yeah, I'm forever. I'm okay. And I'm changing. It's okay to change. It's okay to change from one state to another, to go from a thorn to a flower, right? All these metaphors we get from the Murli. And Baba does it even in the Murli. You listen in one mood, you're in a bad mood, right? But you'd still listen. And then by the end of the Murli, you're like, oh, that was nice. That's very good. Baba's answering everything. So Morley is a basis for anything nothing else to share. It's all from Morley. And if we're gossiping, it's a waste of time. Like Baba said recently, it's a waste of time because everyone's got their part. So what's the point? The mind is an organ of the soul. Today's Morley was about that. Body conscious people are stressed out because they're role conscious. Their role, I've got this role, I've got to be a mother, and my kids are what do I do? But there are Baba's children too. They're not just yours, right? As soon as you let go, they fix their problems. There's this good BK I used to live with, brother. He used to say, I went to Daddy Janki after a few years of living as a yogi. And I said, Daddy, I'm a yogi now, so I can go back to my family because he was divorced when he came into knowledge. He was, you know, he was in touch with his family and he's in touch with his kids, but he was living separate. Then he came, became a yogi, and then started living yogi life and loving Morley and transforming himself. And he said, "Well, now I can go back and be a good husband because I'm not, you know." And they were already changing subtly because of him. They're still connected to him, right? And they notice on some level, oh, this is a he's changing it. And so his own children improved their lives. His wife improved her life. She got into a better neighborhood. She got a good situation. And so whatever. And Daddy Junkie said, yeah, that's one thing you could do. But what you're doing, living in center and doing teaching and doing your local work too, because he lived in the center with the brothers and he went to job. You're doing something that others can't do. So just keep doing it and keep loving them, keep giving cooperation, and and this would be fine. So for us, we tend to be all or nothing. Oh, only this and only that. This works, but others is do integrate. So Morley, in the old days, it was something at the center. Only sisters had copies of the Morley. You couldn't just grab. No, they're like, no, no, sorry. You want to hear Morley? You come at 6:30, and you can take notes, but you're not going to have this Morley. Now, this is Baba's Morley. Thank you. You know, it was mimeograph machine. This is 45 years ago, right? And so we would wait for the center would get a little bundle, a week's Morley wrapped in string paper to take it out. And on every piece of that paper, every piece had words. There was no blank. They used they were running on a budget. And even when London started, they were very economical. And Morley, you couldn't just and the English translations were interesting. So, I mean, the topics is unlimited. Morley is an ocean, right? God is an ocean of knowledge, and Brahma Baba had things he wanted to share within a short space of time. Mama said to him, as being head of the organization, she was thinking about in the 50s, right? There were already many centers in India. There were 20,000 people, for 30,000, many people coming, studying, right? And Mama said, "Look, Brahma Baba, dear Baba, can you keep it within an hour? Just whatever you can say that, but just because he would go on sometimes 2 hours. He would just he had a lot. It was inspired, and she said, try to just keep it within an hour, and Brahma Baba said, okay. So everything is about partnership. God can't work alone without a partnership part with Brahma Baba, right? And Baba can't work without Mama and the divine family, right? He's nothing. Whenever there was any big problems, and there's problems in some anti-party and people were anti and upset, he would send Mama, and she would just meditate. She would go to the place and just chill out, and then she'd say, "Okay, bring in the people," and they come, work, storm up. Who's doing teaching that? And they bust the oak door open, and she'd be sitting there quietly, man, just power. Come in, come in. And they'd be like, and these are people who are upset. Who are you doing with my wife and my kids? And they're changing don't change. Nobody wants to be changed. And Mama was very, is there anything you need? You okay? She understood their pain. We don't like to see people change. And we don't want, unless until we recognize, as one sister was saying recently to me, until souls recognize who is speaking, even the Morley can be kind of harsh sometimes. Baba's he can speak with us. You're body conscious, you're impure, you became degraded after 5,000 years. So out of love, Baba just coaches us. Um, I think I was fortunate too. I came when I was 21 and I went to India first time in 79. So we were the first batch from America, Westerners, from America. And you would sit in the meditation hall and Daddy Gulzar would come and sit. And we would just meditate for a half hour. And then her body would jerk like that. And then her eyes would close. And then we would sit in silence for a long time. And then the eyes would open. And then that was Brahma Baba had come, the angel Brahma. And he would give drishti to everyone. No music, nothing, just silence. Then they would put the mic in front. And the Baba would say, today, he would usually say, today, and he would continue. Very slow, slow, Morley. You had to meditate to hear it and be patient. Ah, he would whisper. These are called the angelic Morleys, right? After Brahma Baba left the body, the Morley changed. It became like a PhD level. And he would take one topic and go in depth. And I find that when new souls who I know are worthy to come in the Brahmin family somehow and they could benefit, I bring them to Avyakt Morley first because Avyakt Morley is very general and but very focused and helpful to a sincere spiritual seeker. So the Sakar Morley, Brahma Baba, it changes gear. We talk about politics and religion and social issues and family issues. So Brahma Baba is very current and he's feeling the pulse of the people like a dancer. If there's a good audience clapping, the dancer gets inspired. And that's what Brahma Baba and Shiva Baba and the Sakar Murli, right? But the Avyat Murlis, those went on for sometimes 2 hours, from 6:30, 7:30, 8:30. And then Baba we'd know in advance, tonight after Morley, the group from Australia, 50 people, would meet personal. So they would, and the rest we would go to dinner. So we'd go to dinner and have, and Baba was meeting personal and talking to each one of them. He would sit for 5 minutes, some people, talk with them, coach them, you know. Because Brahma Baba, when he was alive, he didn't have any Western students. So he loved people, he spent time. The Indians who came and played badminton and say, remembering Shiva Baba, why you're doing. And then he also gave them power. But after he left, there still weren't any foreign students. And then the service started in the foreign countries and people started coming. And he had spoken about it. He said he spent every day, sometimes just visualizing all the souls who would be coming into knowledge. So when they started coming, he gave us time. It was in the body of Dadi Gulzar, but she had left. She was gone. He takes that soul and puts it in rest. And it was very much Baba, Brahma Baba. So he met us as a group, personal. And when I came in front in 79, he looked at us. There were 5 brothers in that one meeting. We're standing around Baba. He's sitting there on the gutty, the seat. We're standing, and he looks at us first, each one, and then he says, "Acha, very good, very good. Each one is better than the next." They're all special, and so he looked at each one of us and talked about us in positive terms, seeing our virtues and qualities. So these are, and then give us Toli, give us a sweet, you know, all with Drishti vibes. And all these were written down. I have these written down in my heart. There are different meetings with Baba over the years. My name is Per. It's an unusual name. It's a Scandinavian name. It's not used in English very much. Per. And Baba said, one time I met Baba, he said, hmm, you're a pair with Baba. Your name, even your name reminds you that you have to, you're a team. Don't ever be single. Never be single Kumar. Be double Kumar, right? Be combined with Baba. Because human beings are always looking to who do I team up with? It's just the nature of you. I want a partner and this. Baba said, no, you're with Baba. Combine with Baba. Remember that. You're a very serviceable soul. You're a mine of jewels. The first meeting, actually, he said, you're a mine of jewels. And you'll give many jewels to many souls. And the reason I was thinking, who's going to believe, who could understand where I am right now? I was in front of this very holy gathering. And back then, all the daddies were very much present 20, 30, 40, all the originals. And they're all lined up on the side of the hall, sitting on the side. And then there's a big group of us on the floor, and Baba's in front, right? So you're getting drishti from Baba, and you're getting drishti from the side, and you're like, it's a very powerful atmosphere. So I'm getting totally from Baba, and it's like Baba's, and I'm thinking, there's one or two souls and friends, spiritual friends, who I used to give knowledge to, spiritual knowledge before, scriptures and philosophy. And I said, this one would understand this knowledge. This one, and he goes, yeah, you're a mine of jewels. You'll give jewels to many souls, not just, you know. So he always speaks to us where we're at. And I think those of us who didn't have the experience of that, we still can have it. You sit in front of Baba's picture and you sit in front of Brahma Baba's picture and it comes to life. I'm sure many of you experience that. You look at Baba and he's there and he's answering your question. For the past 4 weeks, I brought my niece, my sister's daughter, to the center where I was visiting in her town. And she's very spiritual, 35-year-old, and she's different than her other peers. She's a very quiet person, very thoughtful. And she just loved coming to center and meeting with the sisters there and the brothers and the fine. She just, oh, the honesty and the listening to Murli, Avyakt Murli, you know, and the topics were really touching her. So I thought, yeah, this is good. And I said, okay, I'll be back next week. I hadn't seen her for 10 years. And people said, oh, my sister said, oh, I'm worried about Claire. You should talk to her or whatever. She's fine. She's just spiritual. So, my sister is spiritual, but in a different way. Mothers and daughters anyway have different, and they're both good. They're both good. So Avyakt Morley is like PhD level knowledge. And so you need them now and then, once a week. You have a lot you can reflect on. So listening Morley is important. Speaking and studying. Does anyone have questions, or I can keep rattling on? So, yeah.
Please continue. It's lovely to listen to
Good.
you.
Yeah, because you become a better listener. That was the first thought when I was become a better listener. If you complain, oh, this center knows nothing is happening. This sister doesn't understand the knowledge because I've been in knowledge for many years, right? So whatever. So pair by, you need to be quiet because just give good vibration. Everyone's going to learn according to drama. You get the teacher, and the student's going to find the teacher that they need. So so become a better listener. I tell myself, listen, and to improve the class, just be a good student. If anybody's complaining, oh, it's boring, I said, no, it's not boring. Knowledge isn't boring, but you haven't taken yesterday's morally and digested it. That's why it's back. Oh, Baba says the same thing. The reason he says it over and over is because you haven't got it. Yeah. And Baba has a different mood in the morning. Sometimes he is very serious, and other times he's very, very loving and entertaining, you know. So for me, I always look for oh, Baba said something different today, or it was translated differently. Like Baba talked about our fortune. Last week, he said, your fortune becomes dormant And then when your fortune awakens, it's there's a dormant like a seed sitting under. Some plants only grow after 10 years. When the rains come, then they grow. So it's like the soul itself in our most recent bursts of color. We're just used to sorrow. It's just a habit. I see many souls, very loving, good souls, but they still have the habit of sorrow. It's just a habit, just a little thing. And it's like, so Baba says, keep it simple. And remember, he said recently too, you think a lot, so then you lose energy. Just think a little slower, think, less, and then you'll do fine. It was in the Avyat Murli, right? Last week, you know. But so yeah, in the old days, the Morley, now we can just go online and get it anywhere. But they've been carefully some difficult topics that the general public, they've been taken out. Like just because of Baba was very direct, and if someone doesn't understand who's saying it, who is speaking and who he's speaking to and why, it would get them upset. He would make references to different individuals and this person, this group, so that's been taken out, some of it, or some social things that only Indians would understand. He's talking to the Indians in front of him. So some of those were taken out. They're delicate topics of caste or religion or even skin color, or whatever, because he's pointing out their problems and he's saying, you say one thing and you're not doing it, So when anybody teaches you something that's pressing a sore spot, immediately they react and go, oh, why is he saying that? So Morley's have been, you know, edited a little bit, 5-10%, some topics. And the lovely thing about the question and answer, that of course wasn't in the beginning, it just started Om Shanti. There's a song, Baba would have to play a song, and then he would launch into the Morley and he would talk often about the song, and then he would speak the Morley. But these question and answers are something that developed later after Brahma Baba's time. When he passed on in 69, they continued to revise the Morleys. And in fact, Baba had said in the Avyakt Morleys, maybe even before when he was alive, he said, get rid of the old stuff. Only keep the last 5 years because I really understood the knowledge. You see, Baba in the beginning only had two things that kept the whole family going: love for purity and love for love. Love for love and purity. They realized is if they kept their love pure, Baba and Mama and brothers and sisters, if they had this pure, good, welcoming, happy, clean, non-attached energy, that everybody was healthy, happy, and whatever problems they were going through could heal. And people came into that and they're like, wow, this I don't understand what you're saying, but I feel something good here. And so Baba knew that as long as we follow purity, we're going to get new information. And so in the beginning, in the 50s, they thought the soul was thumb shaped, and they thought many things that were confused. Baba said, get rid of those. And the Morleys were longer too. In the 50s, he would speak for 2 hours. So like Mama had said, like I said earlier, Mama said, we're at university now and we're all studying these Morleys all over India, and even some foreign people were studying. So you gotta keep it to an hour. And Baba said, okay. Then he got streamlined. He said, talk a little about knowledge, a little about service, a little about yoga. So I putting ourselves in Baba's shoes is an interesting thing because he was Arjuna. Arjuna is a guy in a chariot, and he's got these horses, and he's got a battlefield. He's got to fight a battle, and life is a battle sometimes, right? He's got friends and relatives on both sides, and they're about to clash. They're all doing their duty. I've got to save the honor of our clan. I've got to. Why people go to wars? Who knows? They convince themselves they're going to war. Yeah, we're going to destroy. He's like, this world's crazy. Arjuna's like, I was born a warrior. Why should I fight? This no makes no sense. Krishna goes, well, you got this thing called they're all just see them as souls. They're already dead. I mean, these are kind of this is paraphrased what the Gita is talking about things, very powerful thing. But they said it was Krishna speaking. So Brahma Baba would always remind people, you got to let them know it's not. Even today, he said, Krishna, if Krishna came, what would he do? He'd just sing and dance. And on path of Hinduism, if Krishna came as some the big stack, huge in the sky with, doing something miraculous. And Baba said, they're just deities. They're pure souls. They're you when you're pure children. You like flowers. But God, incorporeal God, if he spoke, how would he speak? Would you hear a voice in the sky, thunder and lightning? Even that's very subtle. When Baba would come into Brahma Baba, he was subtle, quiet, and he had to be patient, peaceful. He would just sit in the room and write. But everybody who talked in the old days, when they invoked Shiv Baba and Brahma Baba would just be there and Shiv Baba would speak, it was fantastic, fantastic. Now we have the stories, we have the memories, and we have our own intuition of what it would be like. And then, like I heard a class by Sister Maureen recently, she was speaking to a youth group 10 years ago, and it was on tape. She said, when I first came in Gyan in an exhibition, her and her partner were young people, 21. They came to an exhibition in London, and they met Sister Sudesh, Didi Sudesh. And Didi said, oh, hello, welcome. Would you like to write a letter? Would you like to meet God? Would you like to write a letter to God? And they were doing something with, something writing a letter to whatever. And she loved the energy and she loved the idea of incorporeal God. And she liked that. She found herself whisked off to Madhuban after 3 months. Her and some of the first people from London back in the 70s, right? And she was there. And she said, she said they would put me in the meditation rooms and I would see Brahma Baba and I go, what's this guy doing here? This Brahma guy. She wouldn't look at him. She liked Shiv Baba. She would look at Shiv Baba. What's that guy? She didn't. But as soon as she came into Mount Abu and the Panda Bhavan where Brahma Baba lived and she went in Baba's room. She got it. She met Brahma Baba. She understood Brahma Baba. She loved Brahma Baba. She said, oh, because of Baba, this is what's happening. So we got to kind of pinch ourselves sometimes when we're feeling ordinary, when we're feeling in bondage to lokic things and jobs and people and karma and whatever. Baba, we got to kind of refresh ourselves. Musk. Baba talked about musk today, which is the scent that a deer produces something in its own glands, in its navel, something, and it's such a fragrant smell that it's wondering where is it, and it smells it, and it keeps looking outside, but it's coming from its own self, right? This musk. So finding what makes us happy, but also finding happiness in what doesn't make us happy. Because if we just I like Toli and blessings. If we only relied on blessings and Toli, we would become overweight and we'd be dependent. Please bless me. Please bless me. But you can do it too. You know, when I travel now, I carry blessing cards, 100 blessing cards, and I've given away for the past, I have only 50 left. So I meet people, interact with people, and I never see them again. So I say, hey, here's your blessing, right? And they have a blessing card, and it's got Shiv Baba on it, Brahma. It says Supreme Soul, so that's knowledge there, and it has the Brahma Kumari's website. So I, if if the soul wants to, if it's their fortune, they'll go on the website and they'll go to center and they'll meet God. Who knows? But really, Baba says you're the ones who have to hold that space. That's why centers are important still. Online is good and we create a good atmosphere. but to having a place to go and to sit together is as important as meditating at home, waking up at 4 a.m. at home and changing the atmosphere in your home, cooking pure food at home. That's important, but also going to center and as a family, having Morley, that's important. And going to Mount Abu. I encourage people, those who haven't been, to go, to go, to sit for some time there, and you can intuit what it was like and what it is like now. You feel it, you know. It's amazing. When I was such a devotee, when I first got off the plane in India, it was late at night, it's dusty in Bombay, smoky. We flew over the city and you could see the wood fires. It was just magical. For coming from the West, imagine we flew into India. It's like, wow, I've come back after thousands of years, maybe 500 years. I probably, but anyway, I was feeling like, wow, I made it back. So I understood the knowledge intuitively. It took a while to be able to.
Rusula, are you there?
Yes. So yeah,
Okay, no problem. We can continue.
Okay.
we must be running out of time.
Yeah, but before that, I was just wondering if anybody has any questions to dear brother, you can put it in a chat box. But as far as I have seen, I don't see any questions. But oh. Oh, sorry. My screen was just something. I was just wondering when you first met with Brahma Kumaris, the first thing is the most important thing is recognizing the Baba, the God. He is the God. And it's really very interesting for many BKs, how did recognition how you get it? It's Baba,
Yeah.
it's God,
Well,
talking the Murli.
it's the Morley itself and Brahma Baba's picture. Brahma Baba's picture, I know him. I felt comfortable seeing him. I felt like this is someone, he's not a guru. He's not putting on an air. He's not doing what he thinks needs to be done to be spiritual, to look spiritual. He's just who he is. Brahma Baba was comfortable with who he was. And he's lending that to others. I felt I could trust him. And then the teachers were focused and they weren't trying to make me happy or win me over. They were teaching. No, this is what you need to know. You need to know this is something here. This is something you need to know. And the information was the Morley coming from Morley. After hearing Morley's, I'm like, it's in the knowledge. It's in the Morley itself that you recognize Baba. Yeah.
And
I said to I said, I'd like to have a vision of soul, because you hear about vision, but Mama never had visions, but she
Mhm,
became the goddess of knowledge. So Baba said,
mhm.
no, Mama knows, she knows everything. She can do anything. So she could, and everybody, all the deities say, we could never set foot in Mama's shoes, her level. Right. So,
So the last Sunday's Murli, Baba was talking about a lot of companionship with Baba. And
mhm. Excuse me a
for
second. There's a lot of questions in Greek that are in the chat box that you're not
oh
seeing.
oh
It says,
I cannot read it, of course.
oh, I see.
I cannot read the Greek, but somebody
Okay.
can translate it. Maybe the translator can translate it.
We could have another class sometime too. I'm free, I guess.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Uh,
But
Unfortunately,
okay,
no
what
Greek.
was your
Ayşegül ablacığım bir soru var. Tereza'nın Om Shanti soru daha baştan daha 8'lerde yazmış. Onun cevaplandırılmasını istiyor.
Yalnız Yunanca olanları
Yok,
bilemiyorum.
İngilizce.
Hı.
Sakar Morris ile ilgili.
Bakıyorum şimdi.
Selen ablanın girişinden sonra diyalogların başına bakın.
Bakıyorum. Selen abla, evet. Teresa, okay. Sorry if it's an unpleasant question. Have you noticed a significant change in Sakar's Murlis from those of 20 years ago? Now they don't have 10, uh, sorry, as Indra's court. They don't have theories of Indra's court, souls living as a swarm of mosquitoes, molasses container, minimum 3 pages normally. I couldn't get it really, the question,
I
but
understand.
maybe
I
you
understand
do.
perfectly what the question is. So
Okay, okay,
I
please
understand.
do so.
Um,
Then reply,
well,
please.
um, there's some things that they took out which were just too delicate, and maybe some things taken out that people wouldn't understand if they're from other cultures. But Baba still mentions those, like the bag. He said the other day, only the bag and the molasses, rock sugar, the sugar knows how sweet the sugar is. The sugar knows it's sweet, right? I'm sweet. And the bag surrounding is, yes, you're sweet. So the sugar and the bag both know how sweet the sugar is. But on the outside, they don't know. And those kind of that sweetness in the Morley is still there if you know how to read it, because even each sentence has a different tone. Baba always in Morley says, "There's this and there's this." Da, da, da, da, da, da. So he's contrasting because as human beings, as devotees, our intellect's very flat. Just chanting, and then the same old thing. And morally is like waves. A little wave here, a little wave there, some little sunshine, a little cloud. It's like, and so when you listen to Morley, you need to kind of understand why Bob was saying it. But the Morley hasn't changed. The Morleys are, and they change too over weeks. And you listen over weeks and months. There's a there's a flavor, you know. He says the same thing each day, but in a new way, and takes up a different theme. So yeah, there's some difficult things that have been taken out, but not very. They haven't been tampered with. Yeah, you're not missing anything. Yeah, it's good. It's good. That's my feeling, you know. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, dear sister, I hope it's okay. Now your question is answered. And I was also thinking about the great book Adidev, and
Mm,
you were the co-editor of that. And it must be a great experience while doing that work. And
mm,
I had the really, I'm so happy that I had read it. And I highly recommend it. Who doesn't read it until this time, please do so. So can you just tell us some of your experiences while doing that great work? Your feelings maybe.
mm. I
How
got to
was
read
it? This
proofreading.
journey.
I was a proofreader, so most of the work was done by some an Indian lady who translated. She was very close to the center. She'd been to Madhuban at least once, retired, but she lived near the center, and she had this manuscript that Jagdish wrote, or and maybe it was printed in India, but it was called "The Pearl in the Oyster." And the metaphor is Bob is the oyster, but inside was a pearl. Anyway, so we changed it to it was changed. We had a couple ideas, but we all agreed Adi Dev is the one we should come. That's a good title. The first deity. They were different, so that was chosen. I was a proofreader and little editing. I said, well, maybe you need to, you know, but most of the work was done by her. She translated into English, which was rough, and then Robert Shubo, who was a star student back then, VIP student, um, very good writer, and he's still a teacher. He still teaches spirituality. He did a good job translating. And when we did our first printing of maybe 500 books, and we took the copies to India, Jagdish, who wrote the book, was happy. but Jagdish was a scholar. And so he said, it's good, but you left out, I want to, he made us put a preamble about uh, one of the first people to witness the descent of God into Brahma, which was his sister-in-law or something, whatever, his daughter-in-law. She witnessed the first descent where Brahma Baba was at a gathering in his own home of a teacher, and he did that. He had satsang in his home, and he did something very unusual. He stood up and walked. He was like pulled to go and be alone, and he went to his room and he started getting some downloads. And then she went, "What's happening with Baba?" She went up into his room. "Hey, Baba, are you okay?" And then a voice. She could feel another presence there, and the voice was like, "I am Shiva." I am the light Shiva. I am Shiva. Uh, like that. I am the form of light, the form of peace. I am the form of knowledge. I am Shiva. Because he was Shiva was practicing using him, right? He was practicing. He was coming to Brahma Baba anyway during that time. And over the series of months, Brahma Baba was detached from everything. He had a series of visions back then of destruction, of Kali Yuga, which was just too much. He'd never cried like that. He was like, "Oh, don't show me this guy. I don't want to show me your other side." And then he had a series of visions of Vishnu, kindness and love and purity, of the golden ages, souls coming into a new world and harmony. And he had to work with both sides. And then he had the download, the information came. Vishnu himself said, "You have to help me make this world. You are me. You are Vishnu. You have a, and you have to help me make that world. God is enlisted you." These are in the beginning. But still, Brahma Baba took many years in the core in the 30s and 40s, maybe late 30s, he had these visions, right? Yeah. But the core group still didn't have the full knowledge until the last, like he said, Baba said, only keep the last 5 years of Morley's. The rest are just going to confuse people, you know. So what we study is 5 years of Sakkar Morley. And there was already thousands of students in India at that time. So I'm not sure what was the question again. It was a good question, but yeah.
Your experience during this process, the Adi
mm,
Dev book
oh, that,
process.
yeah, yeah. Well, it was like a knowledge bhakti because I was reading Adi Dev, thinking in terms of what others would hear and how it would go across. So I had to be like, how does it sound? I understand it, but how is others going to perceive it? And I think we're all like that in our own life. We have things we've been given to understand, but then how to help others and what is it I need to share and what not. Sometimes you don't need to share. People don't need to know everything, you know. So it was interesting, definitely. Yeah, I had
Yes.
already been to Madhuban once or twice. It was in 82 or something we produced it. But yeah, Jagdish, he was okay, but he did pull us. He had a meeting with us, and he said, "I want you to change the next, put in a few paragraphs about Dadi Brajendra, his daughter-in-law, and how she witnessed the descent of Shiv Baba in Brahma Baba, uh, like that." So they knew something was another power was working here. And then later, Brahma Baba even uh, interviewed God in a body of a trance messenger. Shiv Baba came into another person, another kid, a young person, and Mama and Baba both sat in front of and said, "Okay, we want to talk to you. We got some questions still. We got some logistics here and some issue. And so he's like, "Okay, what's going on? How what's?" And Baba, he clarified points because God coming to speak is a momentous thing, but you can also get details. And they had questions. They want, why are people having visions of Brahma? And how because many people would have visions of Brahma and they would see, I've come in the body of this man. You can find me. Go find me. Because they were sincere devotees of God. They were looking for God in India. And they had visions. I've come. I've come. And they would go, really? And they would have vision of Brahma Baba. So it was magical thing. Magic. So Baba was Baba, Brahma Baba. Amazing. Everything I'm sharing, I learned from Morley. So really, Morley is great. If you don't like Morley, it's okay. Just keep reading it, and you'll start like.
No,
Sometimes
no.
it's like a bath, it's the acid. Oh, that was just, you're degraded, you're impure, you're stone intellect, and this and that. But as a devotee, we go, yeah, okay, I've been there. It's it's it's the whole cycle, and I think also when you're practicing purity, the Morley sounds a lot better because Morley's always if you're not following purity, so we hear that when you're good, your purity is good, then you go, yeah, Baba, thank you, I'm I'm good, thank you, and then we get the good stuff too. Baba says, sweet, you're sweet, and you go, yeah, I am sweet. I feel bitter, but no, I'm sweet. Okay, Baba, I'm sweet, and Baba, we don't mind. Baba can say, sweet children. So but for devotees, we need to see what they can take, new people, very good people, how they can take from Baba's Morley and, give them drops or read it. And that's why Baba put sisters in charge, because he knew is they have that kindness and motherly and people can take it. If a guy starts, no, it's like, yeah.
But I'm sure you're not a teacher like that. I feel this. And you know what I would like to share? When I listen to the Murli, I have been in Gyan almost 30 years. And when
Mm.
I listen to the Murli, I feel like I'm a little child. Really, Baba, the way
Mm.
Baba, how he talks and how he explains and how he really, give us the specialities, then I feel like, oh, I'm the little child of Baba and I'm so
Mm.
sweet, I'm lovely. So he praise us. And
Mm.
I feel like my self-esteem is, getting increased and
Mm.
my self-confidence, self-respect is increased. So Murli is really what you're saying is a magic.
Mm. Mm.
As long as we go into the depth of it.
Mm.
And
Mm.
otherwise, it's just some writing.
Mm.
Doesn't make too
Yeah,
much sense.
yeah. And
So,
coming into the divine family, like going to India and being or center or anywhere, being around people who there's a royalty about Baba's children, you
oh
know,
yes.
and you learn, oh, what real regard is, what love is, and what detachment is, you know,
Yeah.
and how to faith in drama, faith in people, no matter what they're going through. Baba would always give us courage, enthusiasm, and we would come back every year, and he would say, "Yeah, you're doing okay," just like that. So we kept coming back, and so it's a habit now. I cannot go back. It's just it's like drinking nectar. It's going to the fountain, directly.
And I guess being with the Madhuban Nivasis are really a great experience. They are so lovely. How they give without expecting anything, how
Mm,
sincere, how pure. It's really something that every
yeah.
BJ needs to have
Mhm.
this experience, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
lovely.
Yeah. But he's
Ah,
given us a chance to do something with our time in a productive way. These people realize, yeah, this is a great chance to to be with the bigger family and to
yes,
meet
yes,
people
a
from
global
the
family.
dentist. My dentist is like, yeah, I worked on three people today. One from Turkey, one from Iraq, one from this, and he was like so proud of himself. Yeah, a global hospital. I'm like, wow. How many dentists get to work with such and this guy worked on Daddy Junkie. I'm like, wow, you worked on Daddy Junkie. Yeah, I worked on Daddy. Goes RC. Like, wow, and you're my dentist. Oh, wow. I'm so wow. I'm happy, you know. Like,